Yes, hello. I just started the Hangout a few minutes early, just to give us time to get familiar with the system. Please let me know if you can hear me. And if you don't have a question, in order to avoid an echo, make sure you shut your mic. You can speak your questions or comments, or you can write them in the chat box. So I will wait for you to join me. And again, let me know if you can hear me. So please show me if you if you can. Okay. Let me know if you are online. In case you are joining me, let me know if you can hear me. Right now, I don't see anybody online. There is one viewer, but I don't see you. In case you can hear me and you're unable to join me, if you go to your Gmail, in the upper right-hand corner of your Gmail, there is a bell, and if you see a red number on that bell, you click it, and it should open the invitation that I sent you. So if anybody can hear me, let me know that you can hear me. Let me know that you can hear me. Stefan, says, I hear you. Okay, Stefan, that's good. One moment. Okay, Stefan, is there... I don't see you, nor do I hear you. So, okay, let's see. Okay, hello Stefan, and hello Ilse. Okay, so if you have any questions, I will be happy to explore them with you. I don't see you and I don't hear you. And Stefan, you said that you hear me. Ilse, do you hear me also? If you can let me know, just to make sure that your audio is working fine. There should be, if you want to join me in the video, on your screen in the upper, straight up of your Google Hangout screen, there is a video icon that you can turn on if your laptop or your computer. Oh, hello. Up to now, um, welcome, Paula. I see you. Do you hear me? Okay. Okay. I don't hear you because probably your mic is muted. Yeah. Okay. If you have any question, Paula, then you can unmute your mic and pose your question, or you can also write your question in the chat box. Do you see the chat box? The chat box, if you move your cursor up on my screen, it's in the upper left corner, right? And you can open that and write your question or speak your question. So welcome to Satsang. You know, Satsang is basically just an inquiry. It's being together as one consciousness, one presence. I might, let me see, one moment. I'm going to be going back and forth for a few minutes just to make sure that I'm responding to people's, okay, Ilse, okay, nice. Okay, Ilse, I got your message that you hear me. Thank you, that's great. So Satsang is, as you probably know, is being together in presence, meaning being together as one consciousness, as the truth of what we are, and not as a me and a you, not as a man or a woman, not as somebody from this country and that country. That is not what Satsang is. Satsang is coming together as our true nature, as what we truly are. It's a reminder of our true nature, a reminder of what we truly are. In our ordinary mind, we live as separate individuals, as a person, as a certain identity, a certain limited, specific identity. And we relate with each other from that point of view, from that model, from that framework. And as a result of perceiving from the separate model, from the model of individual self, we relate in a segmented way. We do not relate we relate in the fullness, in the wholeness of our potential. And So we suffer. We suffer means we experience a sense of lack, like something is lacking. We experience this lack as sensations in our body, as bodily sensations. And also we experience this lack as a confusion, as a confusion in the mind, a lack of clarity or an absence of clarity. And because our true nature and what we truly love is happiness and clarity and intelligence and sweetness and beauty, we seek to recover, we seek to realize the peace and the happiness. Unfortunately, when we do not have proper guidance, we seek peace and happiness in the wrong venues. Given that our educators and our parents and our culture overall does, oops, one moment. Stefan, the reason why there is an echo is because your mic is not turned off. So if you can go to your mic, actually, if everybody, including you, Paula, if you can go to your mic and just mute your mic temporarily, that should take care of the echo. Stefan, let me know if that works, because the echo is a result of hello, Ilse. As I was saying, please make sure that you mute your mic in order to avoid the echo. Hopefully this will take care of it, Stefan. Please let me know. So as I was saying, since our educators and our culture and our parents do not know beauty, love, and happiness, they misguide us. Of course, not out of a bad intention, but just out of ignorance. Of course, their intention is total love for us as their children. But given that they have not found the way themselves, they cannot guide us. So rather than looking for peace and happiness where it actually resides, we are led to believe that peace and happiness and freedom are in the world, are in experiences, in relationships, or in worldly objects. So in Satsang, oh, okay, Stefan, I'm glad that the echo stopped, Stefan. I'm glad. So Satsang is a reminder that the peace and the happiness that we seek, the peace and the happiness that we love, is the peace and happiness that we are. Ilse, I'm not sure if your mic is muted. If your mic is not muted, I can mute it. I can mute it for you temporarily, or you can mute it yourself in order to avoid any noise, any echo. Again, if you have any questions, you can just unmute your mic and just speak your question. When you speak, then you will take on the screen, and I'll be able to hear your question, and we can explore it. Or you can write your question in the chat box. So as I was saying, the peace and the happiness that we seek, that is the destiny, our true destiny, and our destination, is the truth and and happiness of consciousness. Consciousness meaning the universal presence, beingness, whatever you want to call it, is not a form, is not an object. And its nature is freedom, peace, and happiness. The experience of consciousness is the experience of freedom, peace, and happiness. Causeless, freedom, peace, and happiness. Not a freedom, peace, and happiness that resides in anything, in any experience or in any relationship. So I don't want to just talk on and on. If you have a topic or a question that you want to go into, you can share it with me and we can go into it together. Okay, Paula just asked a question. The question is it necessary to have a silent mind to realize your true nature? Hello, Alvaro. Hello, Alvaro.
Hi.
Nice to see you, Alvaro.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. I'm going to read Paula's question, Alvaro. I was just reading it as you came on online.
Okay.
Her question is it necessary to have a silent mind to realize your true nature? Paula, our true nature is the silent mind. Just a question. The question is it necessary to have a silent... Okay, thank you, Alvaro.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
Sometimes when there is a mic on, for some reason, it picks up an echo. It took me a while to figure that one out. So, no, it is not necessary to have a silent mind to realize your true nature, because there is no one to have a silent mind, Paula. There is no one that has or have a silent mind. Our true nature is the silent mind. A silent mind in that it is a peaceful mind. It does not mean a mind that does not interact in the dream world as needed, as necessary, but interacts intelligently and gracefully, like a stream flows in the riverbed effortlessly, but there is grace in the way the stream flows, irrespective of whether it's flowing on a flat riverbed or if it's flowing on a rocky riverbed with a lot of waves and bubbles, and there is grace across the board in the flow of the stream in the riverbed. It's this question: is it necessary to have a silent mind to realize your true nature? Has a very subtle assumption in it. The assumption is that there is a someone that has a silent mind or does not have a silent mind. That someone, Paula, is a dream character. It's an event that appears to you. It's a perception or a sensation or a thought that appears to you. Like in your dream, an image or a scene or a situation appears in your dream, in your night dream. It appears to you, but it has no independent reality. There is no independent reality to, in your dream, if you see an elephant, a pink elephant, there is no reality to the pink elephant outside of you, the dreamer. So this someone that has a silent mind or does not have a silent mind is a dream character. Having said that, the experience of peace and tranquility and unperturbability, if I said it right, is not a dream. That experience is a very real experience. And you can look at it as it is the screen upon which the images appear. When you're looking just at the images, it seems that all what is going on are the images, and it seems that the reality is the reality of the images. Like when you look at this screen right now, this monitor screen, there is an image on the screen, and the image appears to have a reality. But if you touch the screen, you will notice that what is real is the screen. You could do that. You could like reach over and touch the screen. As you reach over and touch the screen, you will notice that what's real is the screen, and that the image is as if the screen is taking on the form of that image. So there isn't a real person that is separate from the screen. Of course, it's a metaphor, the screen being consciousness. By consciousness, Paula, I refer to whatever it is that hears these words right now. Not a form, not a woman, not a man. Whatever it is that perceives this perception right now. This perception is perceived right now. There is a knowingness of this perception. That knowingness, that whatever it is that perceives, is the screen, is consciousness. everything that you know, everything that you perceive through this, through the reality, through consciousness. So, hello Lee. Welcome, Lee. I see that you have joined as well. I don't know if it is Lee, but Belief Patrol, I assume it's Lee. When you have a chance, please let me know if you can hear me. Just want to make sure that your audio is working fine. So, the experience of our true nature is an experience of peace and happiness that is not conditional upon the world. It's not conditional on any event. And the way you sort of get closer to that, if you want to use that language, is by turning your attention towards whatever it is that perceives, without making any conclusion that it is Paula that perceives, that it's a woman that perceives, just turning your attention directly to the fact of perception, the sense of the perceiver. One of the ways you could do that is imagine yourself to, oh, okay, wonderful, Ali, I got your message. I'm glad you can hear me. Oh, Dolores, hello, Dolores. Okay, nice to see you too, Dolores. It's okay. I'm glad that you can watch. No problem, Dolores. So what I was saying, Paula, one of the things that you could do is imagine yourself to be 1 foot or 10 inches behind yourself. So right now you are perceiving this perception, but you're perceiving it from a foot behind you. You're perceiving from a foot behind where you are, behind where you imagine yourself to be. So your perception, your point of perception, your loci, your locus of perception, is a foot behind where you feel yourself or you sense yourself to be. Play with that. Invite that. Whichever way, there is no right way or wrong way of doing it. Just experiment with that whenever you remember. Experiment with that when you are walking, when you are in the line at the grocery store, when you are driving. You're driving, but you are actually a foot behind where you feel yourself or you sense yourself to be. And so you're perceiving from that vantage point. You're perceiving from a foot behind yourself, not your regular. You're not perceiving from where you are used to perceive. You're perceiving from a foot behind that. Try experiment with that, and don't worry about doing it correctly or incorrectly. It's not about that. There is no correct way of doing it. It's strictly just the trying of doing it is sufficient. And let me know if your question, if there is more to your question, please let me know. So if you want to pose any question, just unmute your mic and you can speak. Yes, Alvaro. Oops, hold on, let me.
Yes.
Oh, hello, Alvaro. I hear you.
Okay. said that awareness is always aware, is always awake, right?
Yes.
And somehow we perceive that.
How do we perceive that?
Noticing that always is here is in the way that you say, when we put our attention towards who is or whatever is attending, it's always here. This space is something hard to describe completely, but it's a feeling that always is here. And there is only this right now. The question arises for me is when we're going to sleep, in deep sleep. There is this disconnection. I don't know how exactly to put it. When you go to really deep sleep is like a death, and we disappear totally in that until we awake again to the world of the senses, right? But the other day I was asking this question, well, how do I know that we went to really deep sleep, right?
Right.
There is a sense that something knows that.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
like something is watching us, to put it that way, in deep sleep. That's why we know that we went to this sleep and did disappear. We disappear totally. I don't know. I want you to ask a little bit about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. No problem. You know, in between every thought. Okay. Let's look at thought. So there is a thought that today is Tuesday, and let's take another thought. New York City is a very beautiful city. Okay, two thoughts. Yes. Now those two thoughts are not one thought, because if they were one thought, they would be indistinguishable. So thought A and thought B are two thoughts, and for there to be two thoughts, there has to be a gap between thought A and thought B, yes? If there was no gap between thought A and thought B, it would be one thought. So today is Tuesday, and New York City is a very lovely city, are separated by a gap. That gap we are not aware of, meaning, Stefan, I will come to your question in a minute. I saw that you have one. That gap, the mind is not there. Between thought A and thought B, thought A, let's call it mind A, thought B is mind B, or if you want to, you can call thought A is mind A having thought A, and thought B is mind A having thought B. But between thought A and thought B, there is a gap where there is no mind, Alvaro. The mind, therefore, cannot say anything about this gap because the mind is absent. Deep sleep is a gap between the dream, the night dream state, and the what we refer to, I guess, if you go from deep sleep to waking, then it would be the gap between the night dream and the waking. But if you go from the night dream to deep sleep and then to another night dream, so then deep sleep would be the gap between night dream A and night dream B. You follow? So in that gap, the mind is not there. But the absence of mind is not the absence of consciousness. Because the mind appears in consciousness, as for example, this perception right now, perceiving the screen or perceiving the walls or whatever you're perceiving right now is a mind perception, or hearing these words right now, this very hearing is a mind perception that's arising in awareness, in consciousness, or the thought, whatever thought is arising right now, if there is any that is arising, that thought is a mind event arising in consciousness. So the mind event does not know consciousness, but consciousness knows the mind event. So in the night dream, whatever you are dreaming, you're dreaming that you're at the beach, or you're dreaming you're in the mountain or in New York City. Those images and those thoughts are arising as mind events in the awareness. And when you wake up from the night sleep, then the perceptions of the world, what we refer to, worldly perceptions and sensations and thoughts in the waking state, arise in consciousness. But they do not know consciousness, they are known by consciousness. And in deep sleep, which is like the gap, referring to like the gap between thoughts, or the gap between those two states, is the state also of deep sleep that has no mind object. So in the deep sleep state, consciousness is strictly with itself. It's strictly knowing itself, but does not know itself via thoughts or via memories. So there are like no memories, like in the dream you remember, for example, oh, I dreamt that I was, I don't know, in Tahiti, and a minute later I was a bird, and then there was some colors, and there is still some mind events that are thoughts, bits and pieces of thoughts that are recollected. In the deep sleep, there are no mind events, or they are very, 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 very thin, extremely thin mind events that you cannot recollect, but yet you know that you had a good deep sleep, or it's sort of like a very brief deep sleep, or whatever. So that the deep sleep is also a mind state. So you have the night dream, the dream state, the deep sleep state, and the waking states. These states are mind states because they are not eternal. They have a temporal quality to them. They're limited by time. They're like events, which is quite different from the awakened state, the turiya state, the realized state, which is similar to the gap, between thoughts, except it permeates everything. So the turiya is not really a state; it's a non-state. Is the experience of consciousness knowing itself. as everything and everyone in the presence of mind events and in their absence. It is an uninterrupted gap experience, if I want to sort of describe it that way. So the question about the experience of the deep sleep state is the mind wants to know what is that experience, but the mind cannot know that because the mind is not present there, or it's very, very, very thin. And one of the practices in the path of the realization of your true nature and the truth, the reality of consciousness, is to notice the gap in your waking state. The bulk of the quotes unquote work that you do is in the waking state. So the waking state is like your laboratory. This is where you do your experiments in the waking state. So in the waking state, you can turn your attention towards the gap between thoughts and the gap between perceptions and the gap between sensations. Because from the habitual mind of ignorance being the identification as a body mind, as a mortal body mind, as a man, a woman that's born and that's living in time and space. From that perspective, the gap is not noticed. Not there isn't an affinity or a tendency to notice that, because it's as if the I thought has sort of monopolized, is a dictator, like a dictator, like the I thought has taken over all the territory and is making so much noise that there is no possibility to notice anything but the me, the I thought and the me sensation. So in ignorance, we feel that we are a continuous me, and we also believe that we have a continuous story in time, that I am living time by minute, by second in time, and that I am constantly me, constantly this me. So one of the practices, and I share that with you, is to turn your attention to the gap between thoughts, between perceptions, and between sensations. And to first you start there, and then you notice that gap isn't just between thoughts, between perceptions, and between sensations, but that it actually permeates. It permeates thought, it permeates perceptions and sensation. One way that might be helpful for you to move on from the gap being between thoughts to the gap permeating thoughts, is to look at the thought as zillions of dancing molecules. And between one molecule and the other, there are a zillion and zillion and zillion of space. Between one molecule and another molecule, if you look at the size of the molecule in proportion, there are like the space between molecule A and molecule B is infinite compared to the size of the molecule. So between one molecule and another molecule, there is the gap or space. And so even a thought or a perception or a sensation, its substance is not a continuous material or mind form. It's actually very, very discontinuous, and its substance is the gap. And even at the molecule level, Alvaro, if you get closer and closer, even there you will find more and more infinite space. I got a little bit on a tangent with your question, but I think, do you have any follow-up or
when you were saying, I don't know if it's related. Yesterday, I was walking, doing something, and suddenly I start to perceive things, right? All this, what we call world.
I'm sorry, what you call? I didn't hear you. What you
call is perception of things.
Yes.
Things.
Yeah, perception.
But I have this kind of insight or feeling that all this exists because of me. But no me has Alvaro.
Hello, Remy.
You listen to me?
Yes. I was just saying hello to Remy. Yes, I'm listening to Alvaro. Oh, I'm sorry. One moment, Alvaro. Remy, if you can mute your mic, if you can hear me, please mute your mic. One moment. Okay, we're back. I'm sorry, Alvaro.
No. Okay, it's Remy there.
Yes, Alvaro.
Well, I have this insight that everything exists because of this awareness, which is perceiving everything. Right? It's like a, yes, it's like a, whatever is perceived is because awareness somehow want that be perceived, that to be perceived.
Alvaro, sorry to interrupt you. Consciousness, is perceiving this perception, but that's just an interim pointer. It's an interim teaching. The more complete, pointer is that consciousness is perceiving this perception, and the perception is itself. It's made out of itself. So it's not that consciousness is perceiving an external world. I like to describe it as consciousness takes on the form of a perception, as opposed to consciousness perceiving a perception. But I often do say that consciousness is perceiving, but that's just an interim teaching. Just wanted to make that point here, for you to be aware that right now, as we are looking at this perception, it is consciousness that perceives this perception, yes? that perceives the screen, yes? But
Right.
the next important point to contemplate is that what you as consciousness is perceiving, you are perceiving your perception of the screen. You're perceiving your perception. You follow? You're perceiving your perception. And your perception is not apart from you.
Right.
Your perception is intimately made out of you. Like a good example is like in the dream, in the night dream, you perceive a pink elephant, but the pink elephant is made out of you. So it's as if in your night dream, you as consciousness take on the shape of a pink elephant. It's not that you're perceiving a pink elephant that has a reality out there. You're perceiving your perception. So this very moment, in this waking state, in this present moment, you are perceiving your perception of the screen. And every mind has a different perception of the screen. Ilse has a different perception, and Lee and Remy, that different perception of the screen. But in every case, it is consciousness that is perceiving this perception, and consciousness, meaning you, every you is perceiving its perception, and your perception is at a zero distance from you. Do you follow that? That your perception is not 1 meter or half a meter or 10 centimeter away from you. So when you are walking in nature and you are perceiving the world, it is consciousness that's taking on this form. I like to say it's knowing itself as this form, or creating this form out of itself. Language becomes a little creative. We start to use language that tries to be as close as possible to the experience, to the true experience. Of course, from ignorance, I am perceiving the world is out there and I am here. But from the point of view of consciousness, it is consciousness that takes on this form, and you are this consciousness right here, right now, that's knowing and perceiving your perception of the screen, that's knowing and perceiving your perception of these words. Which is really beautiful, because there is nothing that you need to do as a separate entity. You don't have a homework. You don't have a homework to do.
Yes. Yeah. The feeling is that I put it this way, I am this. Is the feeling that I am this.
Yes.
What is this? I'm not really sure.
Right.
But it's a feeling that I am this. Just this whole perception.
Yeah. What's also lovely about this contemplation is to also notice that you as consciousness right here, right now, that that is taken on the form of this perception, you are limitless, limitless and borderless.
Mm-hmm.
You are not, there are no borders to you, no shape to you. You take on the shape of this computer, this table, those trees, but you, the consciousness, is shapeless, is borderless, is formless, has no, is not contained, is non-local and not contained. You can go to that directly right now, to the borderless quality that that perceives this perception, that takes on this shape, but it's borderless.
Mm-hmm.
It's not made out of any material, of any matter. It's not made out of anything.
Yeah.
You could say, again using relative language, that things, perceptions, whatever, are made out of it. That that perception are made out of consciousness, thoughts are made out of consciousness, but consciousness is not made out of wood or metal or thought or images or memories.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Okay, let's do another
yeah,
question.
yeah. No, I just wanted. Uh,
Thank you, Magdi.
oh, sure, Alvaro. There was a question from Stefan. Stefan uh, says surrender is often suggested. What is surrender, and how do I surrender completely? Stefan, the most complete way of surrendering is to realize that all is already surrendered. It's all already surrendered. There is no one that really holds on to anything or has anything or grabs anything. It's all a surrendered dream. It's already surrendered. Whatever arises is surrendered. Whatever does not arise is surrendered. Dolores, Magdi, you have your level of actualization. Do you have to give up a 9 to 5? 9 to 5 has given me up, Dolores. uh, I do work, Dolores, meaning I have bills to pay and food to purchase and pay for some trips that I travel. So if that's what you mean by 9 to 5, but there isn't an experience of living in time. The grip of time that can be quite miserable. You know, the thank goodness it's Friday. Oh my God, it's Monday, you know. I remember when I was a young boy and I was going to college and I had like all these exams and studies, and I remember just suffering a lot, suffering, at least there is a recollection of an intense suffering around time. So that's, yeah, of course, completely absent. This doesn't mean that I'm totally out of touch with time. I like to be on time, you know, for my appointments and be respectful of our common agreements around time. So it's a protocol that you know, I respect as part of how we relate. But living in time is quite miserable, and the experience of living in time is rooted in the belief that I am a mortal body mind, that I am a person. I am a person, I'm an object, I'm a form. But that's not the experience of consciousness. It is this belief of being a mortal body mind, of being a form, is like a thorn that's always nagging, always tricking you. But when you get closer and examine where is this person? I mean, what are, you know, you go in every room, everywhere looking for this person, you won't find her. You won't find that person. You will always find awareness. When you run into the room looking for that person and you find an album, you know, of pictures of when you were 5-year-old and 7-year-old and 12-year-old, and you say, "Oh, that's me." It's just awareness of images. There is awareness and there is perception. That is awareness taken on the form of these images and these thoughts and these memories. But there is no, you won't find a me. You will not find a self, a separate self. You will not. You can look really hard, but don't accept a belief. Look and see if you actually find, a separate self. You will not, because you will always find consciousness, and consciousness is not separate, has no borders, and has no owner. You will find thought, you will find sensations, you will find feelings, you will find perceptions, but you will not find an actual self. You will not find an actual separate person. And so that house of cards collapses. It collapses, and what remains is the awareness that hears these words, that perceives the thoughts, that perceives the sensations. And awareness is very sweet. It takes all shapes. It's like a chameleon, takes on the shape of a tree, of a bird, of the wind, of the clouds, of these words, of the screen. But it doesn't get augmented or diminished by the shapes that it takes. Like a chameleon turns green, 2 seconds later the chameleon is on the sand, it turns a sand color. It's not missing the green color. Consciousness like that is freedom. It's freedom and joy and happiness and peace. And it's what we are. We just have played the game. We've played the game of being a person. And we played the game of forgetting that we were playing that game. And now we're playing the game of remembering that we were playing that game, and that in fact we are consciousness. So I'm sorry, I went I don't know where I went with your question about, do I have to give up 9 to 5? No, I never gave up 9 to 5. It gave me up. It's just you wake up from the dream, and the pink elephant, I don't need to drag the pink elephant with me in the waking state. It's gone. Oh, you wish. Yeah, you wish. Dolores says, I wish the 9 to 5 would give me up. The grip of time is miserable. Dolores, the 9 to 5 world will give you up only if you help it. And the way you help this giving up is by examining, by noticing your beliefs and not maintaining them. Ask yourself, what evidence is there in my actual experience that I am a limited body-mind? Right now, what evidence is there that I am inside a body? And you will find that there is no evidence. There are only beliefs and feelings. Some people say, I feel I am inside my body, and therefore I must be inside my body. But what they fail to notice is that they perceive this feeling. If you are perceiving a tree, You are not inside the tree. You are witnessing this perception. So what they fail to see is that they are witnessing this feeling. So the witness of this feeling is not inside of the feeling. The perceiver is not inside the perception. The perception is made out of the perceiver, but the perceiver is not made out of the perception. So you perceive the tree, but you are not made out of wood and leaves. So the feeling that you are a separate body-mind does not constitute evidence that you are a body-mind. The feeling that you are inside the brain is not evidence that you are inside the brain. You perceive that thought, you perceive that feeling, and that perception is not contained. Like this very moment, the hearing of these words is not contained. You can ask yourself, where is that hearing contained? In looking directly, you will find that there is no container, it's just there. And where is it located? And you can't find a location, it's just there. It permeates consciousness, like consciousness takes on the form of this hearing right now. So contemplate that way. This Google Plus Hangout is recorded, and if you need to hear it again, you could hear it again. But contemplate your experience, asking yourself, not repetitively, not mechanically, but asking yourself with a deep desire to find out, to see for yourself, is there any limitation? Is there anything that's contained right now? Am I, this aware presence right now, contained in any way, in any container, in any form? The sense of separation is an impression made out of thoughts and sensations that consciousness takes on those forms. Consciousness is limitless and borderless, and it is what you are right here, right now, hearing these words. Well, very lovely to be with you. Well, I'll see you soon. Thank you. Thank you.